The second activity in the chart activities exercise is in that same workbook that we were in called Chart Activities. Let me pull it up here. We are now going to work with the DI department expenditures or expenditures. So click on the second sheet tab, and then if you are following along in the PDF, we are on Activity 2A. It says creating a chart and changing the design. So there was some information for you to go ahead and read prior to that, so that you understand what you're doing with switching columns and rows. So we've opened up this tab. We don't need to save it because it's saved in the workbook that we have already. So step 2 says that we are going to create a bar chart. So basically a bar chart is a column chart that's laying on its side. It says to select cells A3 through G9. So that's our range of cells. And so we are including labels because we want those to show up as our axis in our chart. So then we're going to go to the Insert tab, and we want to, instead of doing recommended charts like we did in the last one, we're going to hover over this Insert Column or Bar Chart. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll see that you get a drop down. We want to choose the 3D clustered bar chart. So we hover down here. Because we have live preview, we can see what the chart's going to look like. And it says that we are to choose the 3D clustered bar. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And that is the chart that you see. The chart is now active because you have the sizing handles around it. You also see the 2 tabs up here for chart design and for format. We want to change the chart type. So if we make sure the chart is selected, under the Chart Design tab, you have the option that says Chart Type. So if I click the chart type, it pulls up the box, and it says that we are going to change it to the 3D clustered column chart. So I'm going to go ahead, and instead of bar, I'm going to click on column, and then I want the 3D clustered column chart. So I'm going to hover over my options. There's clustered column, stacked column, 100% stacked column. There is, whoops, sorry, the 3D clustered column. So I will click on that, and then below it shows you what those options look like. So this is the chart that I want. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to click OK. And then notice how it has changed your chart. So with my chart still selected, right now the data that I'm viewing like the administration, the finance, the training, the purchasing by month. So I'm looking at administration for the month of January, finance for the month of January. Our instructions say for step number 4 that we want to change or switch the column row in the data group that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, it says switch column and row. So when I click on that, notice how it has changed our columns and rows as to what we're seeing or as to how we're viewing it. We want to move the chart to its own sheet eventually. So we're going to go to Activity 2B. This chart is already open. All we need to do is it's active because it has the sizing handles around it. We want to choose Style 5. So when we look at chart styles under the Chart Design tab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the chart style that we want, is chart style 5. It says change the chart colors by clicking on the change colors button. So right here where it says change colors, we'll click the drop down. It says we need colorful palette 3. If we click on these or hover, there's 1, there's 2, there's colorful palette 3. So we'll click on that because that's the one it tells us to change it to. It says change the chart layout by clicking the quick layout button and choosing layout 1. So I'm going to go to quick layout. I'm going to hover. There's quick layout 1. So I'm going to click on that. Now it says we're going to add some access titles. When you add elements to a chart, you can, under the chart design, you can go to the Add Chart Elements tab. So we're going to click on the Add Chart Element dropdown, and it says that we need to add the access titles. So under access titles, we're going to hover over that and we get the pop-out arrow. It says that we want primary horizontal. So we click on primary horizontal, and we can see as we're doing this how it's making changes in live preview. Then where the access title has the little dots around it, it says type department. Whoops, sorry. I need to click in there. So I typed department in there. Just click and type. So I typed department. Then it says that we're going to go back to that Add Chart Elements option. And it says we want to go to Access Titles. So we're going to go to Access Titles and click on Primary Vertical. And then with Primary Vertical selected, let me double click in there. We want to do expenditure amounts. And then I need to delete the word title. Whoops. Okay, so we've got expenditure amounts in there for the title. And then I'm going to click off of that. Still make sure your chart's selected. Then we're going to go back to chart element. We want to do the chart title. It says that for the chart title, we want it to be at the top. So we want it to be above the chart. So we click on the above the chart. And then I'm going to come up in here and I'm going to type half yearly expenditures. So we've added our chart title. It says make sure that you then delete the expenditure amounts access title. So now we're going to come to this access title and we're just going to click on it to select it and we're going to press the delete key. So that's gone. And then it says move the legend. So we're going to go to the Add Chart element. We're going to go to legend. And it says that we want the legend. Oh, they're actually doing it a different way. I apologize. They just want us to click on the legend and they want us to move the legend up a little bit. So we just adjusted it. We raised it a little bit that way through the grid lines. Now, this next step is really kind of important. When you work with charts, so in this last chart that we did, it had us leave the chart in the same sheet. So under sales chart, like when I click on the move chart, it shows me that it's an object in this current sheet called sales chart. Okay, I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go to my DI department expenditures. So it's telling me that it wants this chart to be on its own sheet. So in order for it to occupy its own sheet, I need to make sure chart design is selected. I'm going to click on move chart. And then where it says new sheet, I'm going to click on the radio button. It highlights the title and it says I'm going to call the new sheet I guess I'm going to leave it named Chart 1. So I'll just leave it called Chart 1 and click OK. So now you're going to notice, here's my DI department expenditures. Here's my Chart 1. So it occupies its own sheet. And why? It just makes it easier for someone to view rather than it being so compressed into our previous spreadsheet. We are going to skip step 11. We are not going to print the chart. Then it says move the chart from chart 1 to sheet 2 by completing the following steps. So we're going to make sure that the chart is selected, which it is. It's active. And then we're going to go back to chart design. We are going to go back to the move chart. And then we are going to choose object in. And then for object in, we are going to just choose sheet 2. So we want it to be an object in sheet 2. It doesn't show up in our dropdown because of how we did it. So we can just type, oh, sorry. We have to just, first of all, we have to click on the plus sign to add sheet 2. We'll have to right click and rename it and make it sheet 2. Then if we go back to chart 1, click on chart 1, chart design, move chart, object in, and choose sheet 2 and click OK. Now it made it an object in sheet 2. So sheet 1 is actually our DI expenditures chart. So I want you to go to the DI expenditures chart and I want you to make the following changes. We're going to go to cell B7. So we're looking at January purchasing. We're going to change that number to 19,750. Then I want you to go to cell D8, which is going to be March research, and we are going to change that number to 63,320. Then I want you to go to cell G8, which is going to be June research, and we're going to change that to 75,570. We're going to make cell A2 active. And then we're going to click on Sheet Tab 2. And just notice how it made the changes. So it took our chart that was on its own sheet and just made it a sheet in that particular sheet. So if we click outside of this to deselect it, we're going to put a header on worksheet 2. So if we go to Insert, and then we're going to go to Header Footer, and then we're going to go ahead and it says our name on the left. So your name on the left, whoops, sorry. And it wants the current date in the middle. So I click in the middle and I click on current date. And then it wants the workbook file name at the right. So I click at the right and then I'm going to do file name, and it puts the file name on the right. So we want to make sure that our worksheet prints on one page. So I'm going to click off of my header footer. I am going to go back to normal view down here in the bottom right corner. I want to make sure that it's going to print on one page. So I'm just going to go to File, and I'm going to click on Print.